ad set level. To be clear, this change will impact all advertisers, and hence we will discuss this and show you an Ads Manager demonstration also. Moving on. Attribution. As we have discussed in our previous sessions, attribution as a concept is basically tying inputs to outputs. In the digital parlance, it is the logic for tying your advertising spends, advertising inputs to your business outputs or business outcomes, which could be conversions, which could be leads, anything that you're optimizing for as a KPI. And why is attribution important for that matter in the digital advertising world? What happens is the typical path of conversion is not very straightforward. A consumer, when before actually converting for your product, the journey of that consumer spans across devices, platforms, and channels. It could be across multiple platforms, multiple devices for the same consumer. Hence, it's important when you are attributing success of your campaign to understand what path of that journey made that contribution and how do you attribute that success. There comes the role or the concept of attribution. It's essentially a framework whereby we understand the linkages between your digital ads to your end conversions. So essentially, attribution is a science of assigning credit of your end conversions to the marketing touchpoints. And this entire framework that you see on your screen is basically which covers the gamut of attribution. Whenever we speak about attribution, there could be multiple models that people refer to or advertisers refer to, and every way of assigning credit to an outcome to an input is known as an attribution model. And you may have come across this phrase several times of following a particular attribution model vis-a-vis some other. What is essentially an attribution model? It's basically made of two components, an attribution rule and a look back window. An attribution rule is essentially a rule which is applied as pre-assigned rule which advertisers choose to apply for giving credit to the end conversion. For example, if it's last click, an advertiser would say that I'm going to give 100% of the credit of my conversion to the last click that the consumer made before making that conversion, right? That would be an attribution rule called last click. Similarly, a last touch would be any kind of engagement which could be a view through or a click through of a consumer that happened right before the end conversion that happened. Even credit, it would mean that all the marketing touch points right before the conversion happened will get equal credit for the final conversion, and similarly modeled, data driven, etc. What is look back window? It's very interesting. Look back window is the time frame that an advertiser chooses to consider the inputs that has driven those output. For example, if your conversion happened on time t, that is day t, and the look back window is 7 days, it will mean that the advertiser will look t minus 7 days of time period and see the marketing touch points that went into the consumer journey. So within t minus 7 days of having that conversion, if there was a click that has happened in the platform, that click would get credit for the conversion that has happened. Had the click happened before t minus 7 days, that click would not get credit for making that end conversion. So in look back window is essentially what is the time frame that you're allowing your inputs to be tied to your outputs. A quick example in front of you is an illustration for last touch rule. In this example, you see that the consumer is going through various platforms on and off Facebook, which could be click, which could be views, it could be on Instagram, it could be on Facebook feed, it could be on other search or display networks. Before the end conversion, there is a last touch point which is at Facebook feed, and a view through had happened. Because the last touch rule is implied here, which means that the last touch or the last platform which the consumer was active on, whether it be it click or view, would get the credit for conversion. Hence, the credit will go to this platform. Had it been a last click rule, The last click was a search platform. So in that case, last click gets credit and this search platform would have gotten credit. Combining rule with look back or attribution window, we now understand that there is a rule which is, say, a last click or a last touch rule. Last touch rule, remember, is a view through rule with a click precedence. So if there was a click which is last, then of course the click would get credit, but if there's a view which is last, then the view gets credit, right? And when it is on a certain attribution window, we call the complete framework as an attribution model. So that was a brief recapitulation of the concept of attribution. For more details, we have had previous webinars where we discussed attribution concepts in detail. We'll send you the links on the same. Now we come to the core of today's discussion, which is new attribution settings basis the recent ad ecosystem changes that has happened. So before January 19th of this year, we offered two different conversion and attribution window options. On the left is your previous conversion window options available for optimization. These are available at the ad set level. The default is 7-day click and 1-day view through. On the right is your previous attribution window options available for reporting at an account level. As you'll notice, the default was 28-day click and 1-day view through. So what's the difference? It's very important. Conversion window, or previously called optimization window, was for optimization and delivery at the campaign setting phase, was at set level, and the default being 7-day click and 1-day view. The attribution window at an account level is for reporting, and the default being 28-day click and 1-day view through. The different defaults may result in your reporting on different attribution window than what you selected for optimization. Now, how do we understand this better? So let's bring this to life with an example. Let's say you set an ad set budget of $10 with a target cost per action or CPA of $1. And you're using the default conversion window of 7-day click and 1-day view through. Now let's say you drove 10 conversions within that conversion window that you selected. So with your $10 budget and 10 conversions, the campaign successfully achieved your target CPA of $1. However, now let's look at the attribution window. When evaluating these results in Ads Manager, you are using 28-day click and 1-day view through. Now let's say campaign drove 100 conversions during that time frame, which is a longer window after all, from 7-day to 28-day. Under this view, it appears that your actually calculated CPA would be 10 cents and not $1, right? Because here you're using a look back window which is much longer than your conversion window. Now what would happen, the difference in default attribution settings may make it appear like your CPA is in reporting is different than the CPA you indicated during ads creation, right? So in order to solve for this, the new attribution setting unifies these two windows, ensuring that the conversions we report and measure are the same that ones that we use for informing campaign optimization, which is the conversion window at ad set level, what the bidding system is using to optimize, which is usually default at 7-day click through and 1-day view through, is combined with the attribution setting or at the account level, which was used for reporting and to attribute results, and the previous default being 28-day click through and 1-day view through. What is happening here is both of these are combined. It's now called attribution setting at an ad set level. So there's no account level attribution window or attribution setting. Now the attribution setting would be at ad set level. The default look back window would be 7-day click through and 1-day view through, or the look back window would be same as the window that you used for your optimization or conversion. Okay, moving on. Uh, Due to the benefits of unifying our conversion and attribution windows, we were already planning on releasing the new attribution settings this half. However, the changes from iOS 14 and the upcoming ATT requirement required us to accelerate this release because the account level setting for attribution does not allow to provide support for multiple attribution methodologies with the recent changes. Additionally, iOS 14 does not allow us to continue to offer some of the previous attribution windows like 28-day click, 28-day view, and 7-day view. In summary, some of the existing attribution windows will be impacted and will no longer support these windows as the new attribution setting has limitations based on the iOS driven changes to our click and view through attribution windows. Specifically, we will no longer provide 7-day view through, 28-day click through, and 28-day view through attribution. However, the historical data will remain available through your Ad Insights API. Data for 7-day click and 1-day view through will no longer be reported for all conversions, which means it could be partial. That is, some conversions from iOS 14 users may not be reported. And finally, we will model 1-day click through for some of the iOS users. This brings me to the next section, which is the demonstration on new attribution settings. You will or you may have already see a banner in Ads Manager informing you of upcoming changes to attribution windows. The CTA in the banner Learn More will take you to the Help Center article where you can learn more details about these and other potential reporting changes. Do note, advertisers will see these changes at the ad set level now. So you will see this change in ad creation at the ad set level as you see on screen. What was formerly known as conversion window is now replaced with attribution setting. So previously this was conversion window that would indicate what you want to optimize for. That is now the attribution setting. And the default or the following settings will be supported, which is 7-day click through and 1-day view through, which will be default starting January 19. So this will be the default conversion window setting as well as the attribution look back window setting. Of course, you may change it. Other options available being 7-day click, which will also become default once the ATT prompt is required. 1-day click through, 1-day click through, and 1-day view through. In summary, attribution setting or a conversion window setting for pixel events could be seen something like this. Moving forward, these settings, when done at the reporting level, will automatically flow into your Ads Manager. So you will see the attribution settings column indicating the window used for a given ad set, allowing for increased clarity when analyzing performance and indicating where results should not be compared. For iOS 14 mobile app install campaigns, this setting will be clearly labeled as SKN Ad Network API. You will still be able to customize reporting to include the supported windows of 1-day view, 1-day click, and 7-day click. So what is happening is you'll be able to see attribution setting at an ad set level for all of your ad sets. If you, in this figure, in the chart in front of you, new Ads Manager interface will show you attribution settings at individual ad set levels, and you may change the default if you require so, the default being 7-day click and 1-day view, or you may want to set anything which you feel is best for your optimization window. If the ad sets in a campaign have multiple attribution settings, campaign level results total will not be reported. So in the figure, in the example, given there are multiple attribution settings for these campaigns, this is campaign level, you do not see any results across this because there are multiple attribution settings in that one campaign across the different ad sets, and hence totals will not be reported. Totals will be reported at ad set level. An illustration is in front of you. So this is one campaign and these are several ad sets of the campaign, each of them having different attribution windows. So this one has different attribution windows. So the cumulative or the total results will not get reported. It will be reported at an ad set level. Ads attribution for other windows can be seen, as I mentioned before, by selecting the comparing attribution windows in customize columns dropdown. So customize columns is where you see your performance. There's a dropdown of customize columns. You can go from customize columns, you can change your attribution settings, you can choose your defaults, and then you can add the different windows you would want to see. For example, if currently you have 7-day click and 1-day view through as default and you want to see an attribution for a different window, a different time frame, you can also choose that. So it will be shown next to your default. So say if these results are for the default attribution setting, which is as respect to these ad sets, your results in the comparative column would be for the attribution window that you choose, which could be different from the default. This is same as before, it will be appearing next to your default result column. So in summary, reiterating, the existing attribution windows which will no longer be supported due to the iOS 14 driven changes are for 28-day click-through, view-through and 7-day view-through. 7-day click-through and 1-day view-through would be available for not for all iOS users, which means some of the conversions may not get reported, and 1-day click-through would be modeled. For more details on iOS driven changes or iOS 14 driven changes, there would be subsequent webinars. You may also reach out to the Help Center and Facebook for Business page for detailed read on the different changes for ads ecosystem with respect to this topic. The attribution setting in summary will move to the ad set level, and the default is set to 7-day click and 1-day view through. Due to this change, on average, you may see a 10% decrease in conversions in reporting. So remember, this is 10% decrease in conversions in reporting, because if you were previously, say, on a longer attribution window, say on a 28-day click, 1-day view through attribution window, and given the default attribution window is shortened, you may see the reporting of the conversions may decrease up to an extent of 10%. This will vary, however, from business to business. For example, if you have a shorter business conversion cycle, you may not see a very large decrease. You may see a far lower decrease and vice versa. The comparing windows feature will still be available to see performance across all of your currently supported windows. So, which means that you should use this feature to anticipate the changes in reported conversions as a result of the default change. For example, if you were previously using 28-day click, 1-day view through, currently moved to 7-day click, 1-day view through, you can still compare the 28-day click, 1-day view through with comparing windows feature and see the differences and set up an anticipated multiplier for subsequent changes. Again, to reiterate, the Apple's requirement for ATT prompt is still unknown, but when it occurs, the default 7-day click, 1-day view attribution window would change to 7-day click only. So this is not yet in force. However, when the ATT prompt happens and the requirement happens, the default would change from 7-day click, 1-day view through to 7-day click only. And the compare windows feature will be removed. However, historical data for deprecated windows will still be available with Ads Manager, Ads Insights API. What are the recommended actions that you should take before the enforcement use the comparing windows feature to understand the impact of reporting for both the change in default setting and the deprecated windows, right? So changes in default setting is the move, what is the percentage decrease maybe in your overall reported conversions. And if the windows that you were previously following are getting deprecated, you may want to see what is the extent of differences and anticipate the changes in future. Also, the data of historical data for 28 day as needed would be available in the Ads Insights API, and it will remain accessible, and we recommend you to download the data for your perusal. This brings me to the end of my session. Settings will unify the conversion window and the attribution window at an ad set level, and the default being 7-day click and 1-day view. If and when the ATT prompt driven by the iOS 14 changes come into force, the default would change to 7-day click. For further details on Apple's iOS 14 changes and the subsequent ads ecosystem changes, please visit our Help Center page and Facebook for Business page for greater detail from the entire ads creation to ads reporting perspective. And thank you so much for being such a patient audience.
And please feel free to write your questions in the Q&A box, and we will be happy to take some of them live right now. I see there are some questions on getting the recording of the session as well as previous sessions. So this is available in the Boost SMP web page. If you follow the Facebook for Business web page, you will be able to locate the Boost SMP web page, and the webinars are recorded there. I request the moderator to also post the link after this session on how it must be most easily accessible. I will take another 1 or 2 minutes. Sorry if the audio was patchy. Maybe it's a poor network day today. Very sorry for that. Please feel free to question me or ask a query that you could not follow, and I will be happy to repeat it for you. I see most of the questions are regarding the recording, so I would request the moderator to share the recording link with all of you, the attendees for today's session, so that will be taken care of. I'll just summarize in that case. The learning that we had from today is, given the privacy safe world that we all are venturing and want to venture into, there's also more reason that we look at the right data from the right attribution windows perspective. So very first thing is, when you are looking today in your ads manager for ads attribution data, what does it mean? So in simple words, attribution means the art of assigning credit to your campaign. So if you're running a campaign and you want to understand what is the credit attributable to this campaign or the sales that is driven by this campaign, that is something that that the attribution model helps you do. Now, what's an attribution model? An attribution model is a mathematical model of assigning credit. That could be, and you may have already heard, and most of you may have already known about it. It could be last touch model, even credit model, last click model, etc. So it depends on the attribution reporting mechanism that you are following. So on Ads Manager, if I take an example, what we follow is a last touch model, which means that the last click or the last view of the campaign that you have been running gets the credit for the conversion in the attribution window period or the conversion window period that you've chosen. Now, what is important here is attribution window, which means if you've chosen an attribution or conversion window. I'm using the word interchangeably because now attribution window and conversion window is same. So the optimization that you're doing, say for a conversion window of 1 day or a conversion window of 7 days, click 1 day view, 1 day click, 1 day view. And previously, which is now deprecated, we do not have 28-day click anymore. So that those are examples of attribution window. Once again, repeating my example, if you have run a campaign with an attribution window of 7-day click, then if you're following the last touch attribution rule, it means that the last view or the last click that had happened right before the conversion from the campaign within a period of 7 days is likely to get the attribution credit for that conversion. So that's the theory on attribution. Now, what is the ecosystem changes that we see from the latest ATT prompts and the IDFA laws from and the regulations that we see and from the privacy systems that we see in the evolving ecosystem? This is regarding the identifiers, the individual identifiers. The data will now be aggregated and anonymized, right? And what you will get is for some of the campaigns that you run on the iOS system, or if you're running iOS mobile app campaigns, etc., some of the data will not be coming on the real-time basis that we had previously. It will be aggregated and partially modeled to fill in the gaps of attribution for you to be able to correctly see the right attribution credit or the most likely right attribution credit that could be given. So that is in a gist the entire evolving ecosystem. What we learned from today's webinar is what are the 3-4 changes that we need to keep in mind. 3-4 changes we need to keep in mind is optimization window, conversion window, and attribution window. All of these 3 things are same. So which means that if you want to think your customer is likely to convert in a period of 7 days, then you need to do a 7-day click optimization. So if you think that you need to give your consumer a period of 7 days to understand the ad, build that consideration purchase, and a 7-day click is fine. If you think that you need to optimize on 1 day click, which means that likelihood of a consumer installing and your proposition installing an app, say per se, or say the proposition registers to the consumer and the likelihood is maximum that 1-day click should be the best attribution model, and that is 1-day click attribution model. So these are various optimization windows where the machine is trying to find consumers who are more likely to take that action in the optimization window duration is the same as attribution window, the look back period. So that is the first change I wanted to register here. The second is the deprecation of 28-day click and 1-day view. I'm sure most of you are already aware of this. And the third is, given the ATT prompt and the enforcement of IDFA and other ATT enforcements, there would be some conversions in your ads manager if you're targeting iOS-based or Apple-based audiences that would be modeled or partially modeled data, and you would not be able to see maybe view through attribution. So why is this important? Because you need to take into consideration your cost per result. So if previously when you were receiving the view through results, when you were receiving these conversions, etc. data, a cost per result could be X. Now the cost per result could have marginally increased. The reason is not because the platform has gotten expensive or the ads have gotten expensive. It could be because of the change in attribution window or the change in attribution logic. The way you need to test this is for test and learn for yourself. Refer to some historical data if you've already downloaded that from your previous campaigns, or create benchmarks and validate with A/B tests or conversion with studies. So that's the gist of today's presentation. I would just take 1 more minute and read through any questions that I may have missed of importance. For placement related queries, I refer you to A/B testing or test and learn webinars that we do. Please test the right placements that work for bespoke your business. There's a demand of sharing the link of resources where you will be able to access. So the link of resources is Facebook for Business website as well as Boost for SMB website. I request the moderator to paste the link soon. Ideal attribution setting. How do you arrive at the ideal attribution setting? This is something that we usually say use conversion lift studies to benchmark against to understand what is the true value and how close it is to which attribution window. However, it will also depend from business model to business model. If your purchase optimization business model in an e-commerce sector versus a lead generation model in a real estate or edtech sector, the attribution window would be different. So I would recommend you highly to test some of the attribution windows and then decide which attribution setting or model best suits for your business and the cost results that you see. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We get your feedback on sharing the links of resources, and we will get back to you on the same. Thanks a lot, and have a very nice day.